Hello and welcome to Clinics, our weekly health and lifestyle show powered by American Muslim Today. In each episode, we dwell in the realms of wellness, exploring the latest trends, seek expert advice, and practical tips to help you live a happy, healthier life. Our aim is to bring a broader perspective to our American audience and discuss issues that impact your daily life by interviewing guests and experts from the US and around the world. From nutrition and fitness to mental well-being and beyond, we're here to empower you with knowledge and inspiration. So whether you're looking to boost your energy, revamp your diet, or simply trying to find a balance in your daily life, you're at the right place. Join us as we embark on this journey towards a better, brighter you. I'm your host, Dr. Amir Khan, and together, let's unlock the secret to living life to the fullest. Welcome everyone for another podcast series. Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic, and the topic I think is near dear to all of us, and especially which dear to parents who have kids, teens, young kids, and everyone. And it's about video gaming, and it's also about phones and stuff. For that reason, we had to bring a very special guest. We have brought Miss Abida Minhas. So Miss Minhas is actually the founder of Psychologist Counselor. In her practice, which is called the Impact Counselor, is supervising she's a group of 17 people, and where she supervises psychologists as well. So her psychologist aspect of it is very, very important. She is also EMDR trained. So we'll have Miss Minhas come on board. Let's meanwhile play the video. We were going to start off with playing a video for you guys.
So I got my first phone when I was around 15 years.
I got my first phone when I was 17.
I got my first phone when I was 15 years old.
I received my first phone at the age of 9.
What age did you get your first phone?
8.
My parents did not limit my use at all because technically I got it quite late. Usually kids around my age got it at around 11 to 12, which is honestly quite young.
My parents always noticed the phone when I was 17 or 18.
Yes, my parents closely monitored and regulated my phone at the age of 9.
Kind of, not that much. My father did.
Yes, I believe so. It became a mode of socializing in my school, and I also used it for studies.
I think this is a good age to have a phone. Obviously, you have many things to do on that phone, like homeworks and other things.
I believe I got it at the good time, perfect time, because 15 to 16 is the perfect age for a kid to get its privacy, because he's growing and he needs some privacy and interact with friends, social media.
It is fair to have a phone in that age if your study routine is fine.
Do you feel that it was fair to get phone in that age?
Yes.
Yes, probably parents should know more about the benefits of the phone. Obviously, our society is not that good or that aware about those phone benefits, but our parents should be aware about the benefits of the phone.
Parents should be educated in this regard, when to give the kid a phone and at what age. I think age around 16 or 15 is a good time to hand a kid their own phone, because that is the time they need to socialize, they need to interact with each other more as they're in the growing phase.
Parents should be educated for the beneficial of mobiles because we can find many apps and websites from where we can gain knowledge and study.
Yes, I think so. It's technology, it's not the Middle Ages.
So there's GTA, there's Fortnite, Call of Duty, but one that I most used to play when I was growing up was Minecraft. I used to play it on my laptop, on my Xbox, and on the phone as well.
I played many games like Call of Duty and other games, many video games, but I mostly played PUBG Mobile.
I've enjoyed a lot of games. I've played GTA 5, Forza Horizon on Xbox, Call of Duty, Apex Legend, Fortnite, mobile games, or even when I was young, Roblox, Minecraft, a lot.
What is your favorite video game?
Call of Duty Mobile and Call of Duty Ghost on the Xbox 360.
Obviously, I enjoy the game because it also connects us to our other friends who are living in the other foreign countries like in Dubai or etc.
They're honestly quite fun with friends. I think why I enjoy these games particularly is because it's very enjoyable to play with friends.
How do you enjoy it?
It has guns, bullets.
I prefer both video games and physical sports because both give us mind refreshment and makes our mind smart.
Growing up, I used to play video games a lot. Did not actually play a lot of sports like that, but lately I've been more into sports. I mainly enjoy watching and playing cricket and table tennis.
I prefer both games like physical and video games.
Do you prefer physical sports or video games?
Both are fine.
Should parents be learning to play video games with their kids?
If they want to, yeah, sure, they could.
Yes, parents should learn to play video games with their kids because they can tell about realities and nature, the difference between realities and nature.
Absolutely not, because it's a kid's private time and he can't really show his real self online and express himself, and what stays in the party should stay in the party. There is a lot of rage, funny moments which are private with his friends. It should never be public knowledge.
I think parents must play video games with their kids because eventually remove the gap between parents and the children, and it will create a more frank environment between parents and children.
Yes, I think parents should try to spend time with their kids on their video games. This way they can keep an eye on their kids or what type of games they are playing. And it also helps build a connection between the parents and their children, which increases the frankness between the family, which I think is a very good thing. So parents should try to spend a little time with their kids, especially on video games.
Excellent. So we're back online and we're going to be talking a little bit about this was one perspective from one group of people. And I want to say that perhaps a little bit different for the kids that are in US and Texas, Miss Minhas, because more than 35% of kids are right now playing games and they've spent about over 5 hours or more. What we're trying to see here is that I'll present a couple of little facts to you, and then we're going to get a little perspective, and then we'll talk a little bit more about stuff. Kids nowadays get interacted with phones and digital equipment at the age of 2 years. 90% of US kids are getting interacted very early on, and this 2 years. By age 6, 7, over 50% of them are playing video games. First of all, what are you seeing a shift with these kids being exposed to iPhone and video games at an early age? The 2-3-year-olds and then the older teens. Teens, I'm sort of putting 10 years and above.
Yeah, first of all, assalamu alaikum, and thank you for having me on. And one thing that I will tell you that, and thank you for the kind intro. I've been a therapist for about 15 years, and I would say that there is a big paradigm shift. I think a couple of the questions that are being asked is the shift that it has on the kids, and then are parents responding to it appropriately? So I'll answer the first question. one of the questions, which is it impacting the kids? Absolutely, it's impacting the kids. In fact, a few of the statistics that I have that I share with parents, which is in the US specifically, the research and in the Western countries, is kids between the ages of 5 and 8 spend at least 3 to 4 hours per day on a screen. But the truth is, kids are being exposed to technology way too early. Psychosocially, children are mentally and emotionally and even verbally advancing where their brains are not being able to keep up with. So what I see that as a result of clinically is children who are exposed to things that they shouldn't be exposed to, therefore they have 50-60% raise in anxiety and depression.
Why prevent them from watching stuff on the phone?
Well, no, that's a fair question. And Dr. Khan, I never said anything about preventing children from being on digital, because like I said, that we are in a tech age and we are evolving in a very advanced way in the last 20 years. You're absolutely right. I think, with children being raised in a let's say nuclear family system, sometimes in a single family household, or extended family not being close enough, or sometimes not nearby at all. Our family dynamics have changed and evolved in the last 20 years. Human beings change and social cycle norms change. At the same time, if you think about a 2-year-old on a small screen very close, the medical model even tells us that is too close for their ocular vision development. That's not healthy when they're seeing all the stimulation so nearby. So I think parameters and boundaries around the digital age, and what the substance and quality of programming that a child is watching, and age appropriately. Yeah, and I think it just depends on the group of kids you're asking. So I think you have to, if you ask a 2-3-year-old, they're going to say, yeah, I want the toy at Target. I'm going to throw a fit until you get me that toy at Target. Now, an adolescent or pre-adolescent may have a little bit more voice or reason, and they are going through, abstract versus what we call in therapy concrete building. So they're going to question you, they're going to want to build their own identity. So my rule of thumb, being a parent and as a professional and personal, it's kind of like timeouts and negative versus positive reinforcements. I kind of lean on that as a mechanism. So if your kid is, under 5, maybe less than 5 hours of digital technology and the type of references they have. If they're, at a certain age group, which is pre-adolescence to adolescence, at least 3 to 4 hours in a control setting is very reasonable.
It's reasonable.
Again, every family has their own value system, so those are the parameters that we have. I think knowing your children is probably part of what we need to do, is to be able to expose your families and your children to what is healthy and what's not healthy. Now, of course, like you said, we live in a very different social, psychosocial community than what we grew up with. So if you have to have a phone, and that's, because you have parents working, which I can appreciate and empathize with, I think sometimes you can have a token economy, like we're going to, monitor your Wi-Fi if you have a certain amount of chores, if your phone is being paid from out of your allowance, then you can get a phone. You have to have some kind of system where a child can comfortably also, grow and thrive in a social community.
Playing on video games for like 14-15 hours. Where are we in this situation?
Within the last 10 years in a clinical practice, the kids are much more depressed than anxious. Now, if some of them are using that gaming or digital usage as a scapegoat, or even some kind of a pathway to find some kind of, healing, it's a very, creative, mindless activity, right? It's kind of like watching TV. For some people, Netflix and chill, that whole idea, it's quite true. Human beings need a little bit more, energy mechanically and neurologically to be able to thrive. Yes, for some people it might be a form of escape or even therapy, But I can tell you that the reduction that we see in actual therapeutic clinical efficacy, so people actually go into therapy and get actual vitamin D from walking or physical activity or even connections with other human beings, is much more powerful and much more, much more expansive for a quality of life.
Is that even a strategy where parents play with the kids?
So I think that before you even start the call of digital kind of, boundaries, I think you start with those contracts then. This is our family's values. We're going to expect you to be on the phone, but if your grades start slipping, then your phones are going to be taken away.
Brilliant.
And kids are, if you're doing a lot of prevention ahead of time, imprinting,
very good point.
in therapy, we call it implanting those ideas ahead of time.
Excellent.
Listen, parents don't value this, but kids listen to you more than they listen to me or anybody else in their world. I mean, the grand plan from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, children come from parents and they're more likely to adapt to their parents if they actually imprint and implant those ideas ahead of time.
Implant those rules from an early age. Would that be a correct statement?
Yes, absolutely. We have to do prevention, like education ahead of time. Like if you're thinking of getting your child a phone by the age of 10, let's say, that's your house rule, then maybe by the time they're 8 or 9, you start talking about the importance of values such as having a phone and what it means to have a phone. And, once you buy a phone, what that responsibility looks like and what the consequences look like. I think similarly to what you're describing, a child who has a hard time parting away from their device, like they will not put their phone down or out of their room to be able to let it charge outside of their rooms. Let's say that they get violent or extreme in their behaviors, or they get depressed or anxious because they're away from their phone or devices. That to me would border on something like dependency or addictions. Obviously, boundaries and rules, like a child becomes attacking of their parents, I mean, that is not healthy.
I think that was really, really excellent. That's why we had it was very enlightening just hearing your views, how you're sort of balancing out all of these difficult, tricky trenches. A lot of
it's definitely very tricky, I have to say, to give your audience and the family struggling. It is a tricky rope. It's going to take some creative tools for us to be able to parent children.
Any message to the final or to the viewers? We've already discussed how you founded the MAPS. Would you want to tell the audience about it a little bit?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Khan. The MAPS, we start for Muslim Association for Psychological Services. And I was one of the co-founders. That was a passion project that we did about 6 years ago to, introduce the community to mental health professionals. I myself was on a lonely island for a long time, didn't know any other Muslim therapists about 15 years ago. So it has been a journey. It has been a journey to see the community grow and kids grow. So certainly one of the lasting messages that I would have professionally and personally is, really know your kids and really, have compassion for yourself, but also for your child. Because just like you're thinking that they're just rebelling you to rebel you because they're just being angry or they don't want to listen to you, the truth is, I think they're also trying to understand their role and their own identities in a social media age. And, understanding yourself and your child can be a very, very powerful thing in healing and also helping you navigate the journey of parenting in the digital age, for sure.
And I appreciate you coming
My
on the
pleasure.
show.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So just on a last note, we had responses, brilliant responses from last week. All of you wrote excellent. The panel sort of decided on one of them being the best presenter, and that one would go to Mariam Shabazz, where she talked about stresses can disturb life in many ways in children's. She broke it down to who is at school doing well, chronic illnesses. So she's going to be she's sort of like the winner for last week. Next week's question is, why do parents need to be updated about technology, and do they need to understand the kids more? Should they be playing? Should we change our approach? And I think that's next week's question. Thank you very much for all of you being on board with us and interacting and giving us your valuable feedback. It's been a very entertaining sort of session for us. Thank you all, and we'll see you next week.